Beneath a sky painted with deep twilight blues and sprinkled with sleepy golden stars, a little train stood waiting at the edge of Dreamland Station. Its chimney puffed out soft clouds of lavender-scented steam, and its windows glowed like tiny lanterns in the night. This wasn't an ordinary train, it was the Sleepy Train, a magical locomotive that only appeared when the world was quiet enough to hear dreams calling. The tracks ahead shimmered faintly, winding into the distance where a gentle glow hinted at a place called Rainbow Valley. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. Inside the first cozy carriage, the seats were covered in the fluffiest, cloud-soft cushions, perfect for little travelers to snuggle into. The walls were painted with soft pastel skies, and a faint lullaby hummed from nowhere and everywhere at once, wrapping the carriage in calm. Tiny dreamlights floated in the air, blinking slowly like sleepy fireflies, waiting to guide the train on its journey through the night. At the station platform, a small crowd of dream friends gathered, each holding a tiny ticket made of moonbeams and stardust. There was Mallow the bunny, his long ears draped over his shoulders like a blanket, clutching a marshmallow-shaped pillow. Beside him stood Coco the hedgehog, wearing a knitted scarf that smelled faintly of vanilla. A little further back was Luna the tabby kitten, blinking drowsy eyes and hugging a star-shaped plush toy close to her chest. They all yawned quietly, excited yet calm, knowing the sleepy train would take them on the gentlest adventure imaginable. The conductor, a kind old bear named Bristle, stood by the open carriage door. His soft fur looked like worn velvet, and his voice rumbled low and warm as he called out, "All aboard for Rainbow Valley. Soft dreams await, and the night is ready to carry you." His words floated like feathers through the cool night air, making every little passenger's heart feel lighter. Poppy the panda, who had been waiting patiently with her dream ticket, climbed aboard first, followed by her friends. The seats seemed to mold perfectly around them, as if the train knew just how to make each traveler feel safe and snug. Outside, the stars seemed to lean closer, curious and kind, as if they wanted to follow along on the journey. With a gentle chime, the sleepy train's lanterns glowed brighter. The engine gave a soft whoosh, like a long sigh, and the train began to roll forward, smooth and slow, gliding onto the dreamlit tracks. The night outside passed by in waves of misty blues and soft purples, the world beyond the windows shimmering like a painting made of starlight. Every little creature on board settled deeper into their seats, hearts full of wonder, knowing that the journey to Rainbow Valley had only just begun. The sleepy train glided gently through the night, the soft clickety-clack of its wheels tapping out a lullaby rhythm that made every creature on board sink further into their cozy seats. The air inside smelled of warm vanilla and honey tea, drifting from a little trolley at the end of the carriage, where tiny mugs of bedtime cocoa waited for anyone who wanted a sweet sip before dreaming. The windows glowed softly, framing the magical landscape that rolled past outside. The train first passed through the Moonlit Meadows, where tall grass swayed slowly under the silver moonlight. Fireflies floated lazily above the flowers, their glow blinking like sleepy stars close to the earth. The meadow stretched on forever, dotted with tiny cottages that looked like teapots, their chimneys puffing gentle clouds of steam into the cool night air. The sight made every heart on the train feel a little warmer, as though the whole world was humming a bedtime song just for them. Mallow the bunny pressed his nose to the window, his marshmallow pillow hugged tight against his chest. "Look," he whispered to Coco the hedgehog, pointing to a cluster of glowing dandelions. When the train passed, their seeds floated up into the air, glowing like tiny lanterns drifting toward the stars. Coco let out a sleepy giggle, tucking his scarf tighter as he leaned back, his eyes half closed but still sparkling with wonder. Further along the track, the train entered the star tunnel. The lights in the carriage dimmed as they rolled inside, but instead of darkness, they were surrounded by a swirling river of stars, as if they were gliding through the middle of the Milky Way itself. Each star shimmered in a different soft color, pale pink, golden cream, gentle lavender, and left trails of sleepy sparkles in the train's wake. Luna the kitten reached out a paw toward the window as a star floated closer, winking at her before drifting away. Her whiskers twitched in delight, and a soft purr rumbled from her tiny chest as she snuggled into her star-shaped plushie. The train hummed along, its engine making the softest whooshing sound, like a big bear sighing contentedly in its sleep. Conductor Bristle padded through the carriage, offering each passenger a small glowing blanket that smelled faintly of moonflowers. "You'll need these for Rainbow Valley," he said in his low, soothing voice. "It's the coziest valley you'll ever see, but the stars there like to share their cool night breeze." The blankets floated gently in the air until they landed on each traveler's lap, tucking themselves in like magic. Poppy the panda unrolled her blanket and sighed happily as it wrapped her in warmth, her eyelids growing heavier with each minute. She glanced outside to see a family of dream clouds drifting lazily past, shaped like sleeping rabbits and smiling turtles. Every now and then, the clouds let out tiny yawns that sprinkled sparkles over the train, making it glow brighter for a moment before settling back into its steady rhythm. The sleepy train began to climb a hill made of stardust, the track ahead glowing softly, lighting their way toward the horizon. As they crested the hill, everyone in the carriage gasped quietly. Below them, the valley stretched out like a watercolor painting, glowing with soft rainbows that arched and curled through the mist. Each color moved slowly, shimmering like waves of silk, as if the valley itself was dreaming. Tiny cottages shaped like candy drops dotted the landscape, their windows twinkling like welcoming nightlights, while glowing streams of silver water wound through the grass, singing a lullaby as they flowed. Bristle smiled gently, his eyes crinkling as he looked out the window with the children. "Rainbow Valley is just ahead," he murmured, his voice like a blanket being pulled over a sleepy head. "A place where dreams grow on trees, and every color carries a wish. Hold your lantern hearts close, little ones. Soon, you'll see magic unlike anything else." The train slowed just slightly, gliding smoothly as the stars above leaned closer, as if they wanted to watch the passengers' faces light up with wonder. A faint mist of glowing dream dust swirled around the windows, making the world outside look even softer, like a lullaby come to life. Poppy, Mallow, Coco, and Luna all huddled closer together, clutching their blankets, their hearts fluttering with calm excitement. The rhythmic sound of the train wheels mixed with the sigh of the breeze, wrapping everyone in a spell of sleepiness and wonder. The journey wasn't over yet, but already, the sleepy train felt like it was carrying not just passengers, but their sweetest, softest dreams, straight into the heart of Rainbow Valley where a magical night of peace and comfort was waiting just for them. The sleepy train slowed just enough for everyone to feel as if the world outside had turned into a moving dream, gliding by in hushed wonder. The valley stretched endlessly beneath the twilight sky, painted with colors softer than any crayon, brighter than any candle. Pale ribbons of pink curled around hills of misty blue, and streams of gold wove between fields of glowing flowers, all of it shimmering as if each color carried a lullaby of its own. The sight made everyone aboard go quiet, as if speaking too loudly might wake the dream. Inside the carriage, a hush settled over the passengers. The only sounds were the steady clickety-clack of the wheels on the glowing tracks and the low hum of the sleepy train, like it was singing them closer to magic. Conductor Bristle padded softly down the aisle again, this time carrying a silver tray with tiny cups of warm dream milk. The milk glowed faintly and smelled of soft honey and moon blossoms. As he handed each little traveler a cup, he whispered, "One sip, and you'll feel as light as stardust, ready for the wonders waiting ahead." Poppy cradled her cup in her fuzzy paws, closing her eyes as she took a tiny sip. A warmth spread through her chest, not just cozy but full of quiet happiness, like a hug from inside her heart. Mallow the bunny took a sip too, letting out a long, content sigh as his ears drooped sleepily. Even Coco the hedgehog, usually a little shy, smiled dreamily and tucked himself deeper into his scarf as the warmth wrapped around him. The lights in the carriage dimmed just a little, as if the train itself wanted to help everyone drift closer to that soft, dreamlike state where magic feels realer than the waking world. Outside the windows, the rainbow glow of the valley grew brighter as they descended from the Stardust Hill, the colors pulsing gently in time with the train's hum. The stars above seemed to follow, sliding across the sky slowly, smiling their silver smiles down at the sleepy passengers. A faint, bell-like chime rang out from somewhere ahead. Luna the kitten perked up, her whiskers twitching. "What's that sound?" she whispered, barely loud enough for even her friends to hear. Bristle gave a warm smile. "That," he rumbled softly, "is Rainbow Valley welcoming us. The dream trees are awake tonight, and they're calling us closer." As the train curved around a bend, the passengers saw what Bristle meant. Ahead stood a grove of trees unlike any they had ever imagined. Each trunk shimmered like crystal, and the branches stretched high and wide, covered not in leaves but in softly glowing dream fruits. The fruits floated slightly in the air around the trees, glowing in every color of the rainbow, each one pulsing gently as though filled with a heartbeat of light. As the train passed, one of the fruits floated closer to the track, spinning slowly, and a whisper as soft as a feather drifted into the carriage, "Your dreams are safe here. Your wishes are known." Poppy's eyes grew round as she held her blanket close. She had never felt anything so gentle before, like the world itself was tucking her in and promising her the sweetest sleep. Mallow's little nose twitched as he hugged his pillow tighter, and Luna purred softly, lulled by the soundless comfort that filled the air. Coco let out a tiny giggle, his eyes half closed, mumbling, "This feels like magic bedtime forever," before letting out a long yawn. The train slowed just enough for the travelers to see more of Rainbow Valley up close. Little cottages shaped like raindrops sat nestled in glowing grass, their windows casting soft pools of light that looked like they were made of moonbeams. Bridges of starlight arched over gentle rivers where floating dreamboats drifted, carrying tiny glowing notes that whispered lullabies to anyone who listened. Even the hills seemed alive with kindness, their colors breathing slowly, like they were dreaming along with everyone else. Bristle lowered his voice even more, speaking as though sharing a secret meant only for sleepy hearts. "Every dream that's ever been wished for has passed through Rainbow Valley. The train knows where to go because the dreams call to it. Tonight, every one of you will leave with a dream gift, something soft and magical that will stay with you even when morning comes." His words floated through the carriage like the gentlest cloud, settling on everyone's hearts and making their eyes grow heavier, their smiles softer. The train rocked gently as it rolled deeper into the valley, the track glowing brighter the closer they came to the center of this magical place. Outside, the dream trees leaned over as if to watch them pass, their glowing fruits falling slowly and drifting up toward the sky like stars returning home. Poppy thought of all the dreams she might see tonight, dreams of cuddles, laughter, floating on clouds, and endless love. She held her blanket a little tighter and let her head rest on the windowpane, watching the colors blur softly as her breathing slowed. The journey wasn't over yet. The sleepy train had one last stop in the valley, a place Bristle called the Dream Fountain, where wishes were whispered to the night and carried forever on rainbow winds. As the train glided toward it, every passenger settled deeper into their seats, their hearts light, their bodies warm, and their eyelids heavy, knowing that magic was only a few gentle moments away. The sleepy train drifted deeper into Rainbow Valley, gliding so smoothly it felt as if it was floating on a cloud rather than running along tracks. The dream-colored mist outside curled and swirled like soft ribbons, wrapping the valley in a haze of magic and calm. Every few moments, a new wonder appeared beyond the glowing windows, a waterfall made of liquid moonlight that trickled down a hill of pastel flowers, a family of glowing deer resting under a tree of golden dreams, a lake where ripples turned into tiny floating rainbows that danced gently across the surface. Inside the train, the air was warm and cozy, filled with the faint scent of lavender and fresh-baked cookies, as if the valley itself was baking treats for its sleepy guests. The lamps above the seats dimmed to a soft golden glow, while the hum of the train slowed, blending perfectly with the quiet sighs and little yawns of the passengers. Mallow the bunny curled up against his marshmallow pillow, his ears flopping over his face as he drifted toward sleep. Coco nestled into his scarf, whispering drowsy words about how the valley smelled like candy clouds. Luna the kitten purred softly, her paw gently clutching her star-shaped plush toy as her eyes drooped closed. Poppy sat upright for just a little longer, her big panda eyes still wide with wonder as she gazed out the window. The dream trees they had passed seemed to stretch for miles, their floating, glowing fruits drifting up toward the night sky, where they became new stars. She thought about what Bristle had said, that dreams were gifts, traveling through the valley, waiting for someone to hold them close. She hugged her blanket tighter, imagining what dream might find its way to her tonight. Maybe a dream of soft bamboo forests, where she could nap all day with her mama panda under a sky full of lanterns. Maybe a dream of floating on a cloud, watching rainbows stretch forever. Whatever it would be, she knew it would be gentle and kind, just like this journey. The train began to slow, and Bristle's warm, deep voice filled the carriage like a lullaby. "We're arriving at the Dream Fountain," he said softly. "It's the heart of Rainbow Valley. Every dream passes through it, every wish is carried on its waters. If you'd like, you may whisper your wish tonight, and the fountain will keep it safe forever." The passengers stirred, blinking sleepily as they peered out the windows. Ahead, glowing softly in the mist, was a fountain unlike anything they had seen before. It was vast and perfectly round, carved from what looked like pure crystal. Water didn't just fall or splash here, it drifted upward in glittering streams, curling and twirling toward the sky like dancing ribbons of light. Each droplet shimmered with colors that shifted slowly, pink to gold to blue to green, as if every color of the rainbow was alive and dreaming. Around the fountain, tiny lights floated, dream wisps, Bristle called them, carrying the whispered hopes of creatures from all over dreamland. The train came to a gentle stop beside the fountain, its lanterns flickering softly like it was bowing to the magic before it. Bristle opened the doors with a quiet creak, and a cool, comforting breeze flowed into the carriage, making everyone sigh happily. "Come along," he murmured. "No rush. The fountain is patient, and the night is long and kind." Poppy stepped off the train first, her paws sinking into soft moss that glowed faintly under the moonlight. The fountain's glow wrapped around her like a hug, filling her chest with warmth even as the cool mist brushed her cheeks. The other passengers followed quietly, their tiny footsteps making no sound as they gathered in a circle around the dream fountain. For a long moment, no one spoke. The fountain's waters sang a lullaby without words, a sound so tender it made everyone's eyes feel heavy with comfort. The dream wisps floated closer, brushing lightly against fur and whiskers and tiny paws, as if they wanted to hear each little traveler's wish. Bristle knelt beside the fountain, his big bare paws cradling the glowing water as he whispered something too soft for anyone else to hear. The water pulsed gently in response, carrying his wish upward, where it disappeared into the mist with a sparkle of light. One by one, the passengers stepped forward, cupping their paws or holding out their tiny plush toys, whispering wishes into the fountain. Mallow wished for endless nights of cuddles and marshmallow dreams. Luna wished for gentle skies where stars would sing her lullabies forever. Coco wished for a forest where every friend always had someone to hug. When it was Poppy's turn, she held her glowing blanket close and leaned over the fountain, her big eyes wide and sleepy. She whispered softly, "I wish for every heart to feel safe, every dream to be kind, and every little one to always know they are loved." The fountain glimmered brighter, as though it understood, and a single drop of glowing water floated upward, carrying her wish high into the dream-filled sky. The fountain hummed louder for just a moment, sending a ripple of rainbow light through the mossy ground, wrapping all the travelers in a warm, sleepy glow. Bristle smiled softly, nodding to the group. "The fountain has heard you all," he said gently. "Your wishes are safe now, carried forever by the valley's winds." As the travelers made their way back to the train, the dream wisps followed them like tiny glowing fireflies, weaving slow, soothing patterns in the air. Each one left a trail of sparkling mist that curled softly around the sleepy friends, making their hearts lighter, their steps slower, as if they were already halfway to dreamland. The sleepy train's lanterns flickered brighter to welcome them back, promising the gentlest ride home. And as Poppy climbed back into her seat, wrapping her blanket around her shoulders, she glanced back at the fountain one last time. It was still glowing, still singing its lullaby, still sending rainbow wishes into the sky. She knew her dream would find her tonight, just like every dream would find every heart that needed it. The thought filled her with a peace so deep, so sweet, that her eyelids drooped as the train began to hum again, ready to carry them all back under a starlit sky toward the softest sleep of their lives. The sleepy train rolled quietly away from the dream fountain, its wheels making the softest clickety-clack as if it didn't want to disturb the night's magic. The mist around Rainbow Valley drifted like sleepy clouds, glowing faintly under the watchful eyes of 1,000 twinkling stars. Inside the carriage, every little traveler settled back into their seats, wrapping up in glowing blankets and letting the warmth of the fountain's wishes linger in their hearts. The train glided through the valley's gentlest paths now, past meadows that shimmered with tiny dreamlights. Each light danced slowly above the grass like a floating thought of happiness, drifting toward the moon. A herd of soft, cloud-like sheep wandered in the distance, their wool glowing pale gold as they lay down to sleep. Nearby, hills rose like smooth pillows, sprinkled with sparkling dew that looked like stardust fallen from the sky. Everything outside seemed to whisper, "It's time to rest. You're safe. You're loved." Poppy leaned her head against the cool window, her big panda eyes heavy with drowsiness but still watching the wonders outside. She could see the path of rainbow mist curling behind the train, as though the valley wanted to wave them goodbye with soft colors that would follow them all the way home. She clutched her blanket tighter and thought of the wish she'd whispered to the fountain, her heart warm knowing it was now part of the night forever. Mallow gave a long, slow yawn beside her, his marshmallow pillow sliding onto his lap as he murmured, "This feels like the sleepiest dream ever." Coco nodded with a drowsy smile, half tucked into his scarf, while Luna curled into a little ball, her star-shaped plush held close as she purred softly. Around them, other tiny travelers had already closed their eyes, breathing slow and even, lulled by the motion of the train and the soft hum it made. Conductor Bristle walked gently down the aisle, his velvet-like paws making no sound on the carpeted floor. His deep, warm voice floated through the carriage like a bedtime lullaby. "You've seen the wonders of Rainbow Valley," he whispered, "and now the night will carry you home. Let your hearts rest easy, little ones. The stars are watching, and the valley's dreams are already finding their way to you." He reached a small drawer at the end of the carriage and brought out a tiny glowing charm for each passenger. They were shaped like stars, softly pulsing with light, and they floated down gently into everyone's laps. "A gift from the dream fountain," Bristle said quietly. "Keep this close tonight, and your dreams will stay sweet until morning." Poppy held her charm close to her chest, feeling it hum softly, like a tiny heartbeat made of light. She glanced at her friends and saw their sleepy smiles as they hugged their charms too, eyes growing heavier with every passing moment. The train's lights dimmed even more now, leaving only a warm golden glow in the carriage. The outside world blurred softly as the train glided past the last dream forests and hills, the valley slowly fading behind them like a painting closing its eyes for the night. A soft tune began to play from nowhere, a lullaby made of strings and wind chimes, rising and falling like a gentle rocking motion. The sound wrapped around every passenger, tucking them in with invisible arms, coaxing them closer to slumber. Bristle quietly adjusted blankets, tucked in sleepy paws, and made sure each tiny traveler was snug and safe. His kind eyes shone in the dim light as he whispered, "Rest now, little dreamers. The sleepy train knows the way home, and your hearts are full of starlight." The train rolled on smoothly under a sky dusted with silver stars, passing a final arch of rainbow mist that shimmered one last goodbye. The valley's glow softened behind them, fading into the horizon, but its magic lingered in every lantern, every charm, and every sleepy smile aboard. Poppy yawned a big panda yawn, her eyes fluttering closed as her breathing slowed. The rhythmic sound of the wheels, the low hum of the engine, and the faint scent of honey tea and moon blossoms swirled together, wrapping her in perfect calm. She thought of the rainbow lights, the glowing fountain, and the promise of kind dreams. A sleepy thought crossed her mind just before she drifted off completely. The night feels endless and safe, like it was made just for little hearts to dream peacefully. And with that thought, the train carried them further into the starry night, heading gently toward home, while every soul on board began to drift into the softest, sweetest sleep, waiting for morning to greet them with warmth and light. The sleepy train rolled through the last stretch of glowing tracks, its lanterns flickering softly as the horizon ahead began to paint itself with the faintest colors of dawn. The night was still, wrapped in a sleepy hush, but a hint of morning light kissed the edges of the clouds, turning them into soft ribbons of gold and pink. Inside the carriage, every passenger lay snuggled in their seats, blankets tucked under their chins, dream charms glowing faintly beside them like tiny guardians keeping watch. Poppy stirred slightly, letting out a long, lazy panda yawn as the train rocked her gently, like a cradle on the quiet rails. She opened her eyes for a moment, just enough to see the stars slowly fading outside, replaced by a misty glow that promised a safe return home. Bristle, the kind conductor, tiptoed softly down the aisle, adjusting blankets and smiling warmly at each sleepy face. His low, comforting hum filled the carriage, blending with the soft rhythm of the train, making every heart feel even lighter. As they passed through the moonlit meadow one last time, the fireflies danced around the tracks, as if waving good night, or maybe good morning, to their little friends on the train. The glowing dandelions they had seen earlier were closing their petals now, drifting back into sleep, knowing new dreams had been planted tonight. Beyond the meadow, the first beams of sunlight peeked over Dreamland Station in the distance, waiting patiently for the travelers to return from their magical journey. Slowly, the sleepy train began to glide into the station, the wheels barely making a sound as if it knew not to wake its passengers too soon. The station itself seemed to glow in greeting, its lamps casting a warm, golden light that promised safety, love, and the cozy comfort of home. The train came to a gentle stop, the softest hiss of steam curling into the cool air, carrying the sweet scent of lavender and honey with it. Bristle waited until the last notes of the train's lullaby faded before he whispered, "Little dreamers, we're home." One by one, sleepy eyes blinked open, faces glowing with the warmth of sweet dreams well spent. Poppy rubbed her eyes, clutching her dream charm close to her chest. She could still feel the peaceful magic of Rainbow Valley in her heart, and she knew the dream she would have tonight, and every night after, would be kind and full of love. Mallow gave a sleepy hop off his seat, marshmallow pillow tucked under his arm, while Coco stretched his tiny paws and smiled softly. Luna purred a little thank you to Bristle as she hugged her star plush tight, ready to curl up in her own cozy bed soon. The passengers stepped off the train one by one, greeted by the gentle glow of early morning, their lantern hearts still shimmering faintly as they walked toward home. Before Poppy stepped down, Bristle bent low and whispered in her ear, his voice like velvet and moonbeams. "The sleepy train will always be here whenever you need it. Rainbow Valley is never far for dreamers with kind hearts." Poppy smiled, hugging him tight, before padding softly down to the mossy path that led back to her snug little hollow. She glanced over her shoulder one last time and saw the train's lanterns glowing brighter for a moment, as if saying goodbye. Then, with a soft sigh and a puff of lavender steam, the sleepy train began to fade, blending into the morning mist until it disappeared completely, waiting for the next quiet night when dreams would call it again. Poppy walked slowly home, the dream charm warm in her paw, her heart full of gentle magic. She curled into her bed under the willow tree, pulling her softest blanket over her, and let her eyes close with a smile. She thought of the dream fountain, the glowing trees, and the rainbow mist, knowing they would be waiting for her again one day. And as she drifted back into sleep, the stars above twinkled faintly in the daylight sky, whispering promises of love and kindness that would never fade. The whole world seemed to exhale softly, wrapping every little dreamer in warmth, safety, and endless wonder. Tonight, tomorrow, and every night after, their dreams would be sweet, peaceful, and full of color, because the sleepy train to Rainbow Valley would always know the way back to their hearts. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video.